Anyone who enjoys motorsports knows perfectly well who Ayrton Senna was, and even those who don't watch it, the name is so great that they certainly recognize it. Considered by many to be one of the best Formula 1 drivers of all time, if not the best, 2024 will be marked by the 30th anniversary of his death on the Imola track in Italy. Coincidence or not, LEGO launches this year the iconic McLaren MP4/4, the 1988 car, also considered by many to be the best car ever in Formula 1, given that in that year, in 16 races, the car won 15. And it wasn't a perfect score because of a distraction by Senna himself on one of the last laps of the Italian Grand Prix. However, that year the Brazilian driver will celebrate his first championship. I could be here for hours talking about Formula 1, but what matters now is the LEGO set. The new Icons McLaren MP4/4 contains 693 elements and a retail price of €80 or dollars, which is equivalent to around 11.5 cents per part. It is not the best price, it is true, but it's worth remembering that some new elements were created that will be exclusive to this set, at least until now, and there are so many printed parts, which is something that all fans prefer compared to having stickers. However, there are a few of these, namely 11, all in the same sticker sheet, being most of them acceptable taking into account their location or function, such as the plaque tag or the quote from Senna. The construction is divided into 6 bags, and we start with the minifigure of Ayrton Senna, one of the best sportsmen of all time. The torso is detailed, with prints on the front and back. The legs maintain the same pattern at the front, but are empty on the back. The head has a double expression, one more smiling, and while the other is more serious, a known look of his, especially when he was upset with something. Regarding the hair, a common element was used in a shorter style, which is a shame given that the pilot, despite actually having shorter hair that year, generally he had longer and even slightly curly hair. As for the helmet, it is one of the highlights, portraying the iconic colors of the Brazilian flag, a wonderful detail for those who follow his career. We also have a pedestal for the figure, containing the following quote: "No matter what your dream is, you have to dedicate yourself entirely to it," which, according to his Instagram account, the original was "Não importa qual seja o seu sonho, você tem que se dedicar inteiramente a ele." We move on to the car, and in the first steps we have the first Easter egg under the engine, in blue, yellow and green, the Brazilian flag. The construction is quite fluid and sequential, covering a good part of the base with tiles, and we finish the first bag with a partial built engine. With the second we start with the wheels, and we immediately see the new part, of which there are actually 8 in the set, used in the suspension. The effect is incredible, and now I just hope they use it in more sets. Another highlight are the several chrome elements used in the engine, round brakes, plates and quarter tiles one by one, and especially the 1x2 slope with grille. With bag 3, we move on to the rear suspension system, we continue building the sides of the vehicle, and we have again the Brazilian colors that will be seen later on. We also build the cockpit, which is quite spacious, with 2 functional levers on each side. At the front, there is a red wedge with a white print replicating part of the nose, but you can see that this type of print doesn't work well with these colors. White can go over a color as vivid as red. Bag 4, practically dedicated to the rest of the nose and the spoiler, where the biggest emphasis goes to the printed elements. I highlight the transparent curved slope with the tag error print, the 2x6 style with several brands like Honda, Shell, McLaren and of course the 12, the number Senna drove that year. The spoiler contains an excellent detail that imitates the real thing, with the use of 2 overlapping tiles, one 2x6 with the word McLaren, and the another one 1x6 with the same word but cut in half lengthwise. Some fans may question why Moral War wasn't advertised on this part, which was the most common at the time, but in addition to all the ethical implications that the inclusion of a tobacco brand would cause, from what I was able to discover, in some races the brand was not allowed because of legislation in certain countries. Bag number 5 with parts to finish the engine and assemble the structure that will cover it, and of course, the placement of the wheels. Also noteworthy is another wedge with the problem of the white printing on top of red. Finally, in the last bag, we make the support for the McLaren, something that was not common for this type of sets and cars, but that many fans will certainly love. In conclusion, I love the set and its construction. It is relatively quick, simple, and the result is excellent. It's a wonderful tribute to someone who was one of the sport's best drivers and probably the most beloved of them all. But not everything is perfect. Something that has been pointed out after the first images were revealed, many fans were not satisfied with the size of the rear wheels and the nose. Although I believe that for this to be rectified, new elements will have to be created that will make the set more expensive. So personally, I hope that this is the first of many sets of its kind, and that the situation is set right eventually. Another important issue is the printing. It is praiseworthy that LEGO has increasingly made an effort to please fans by reducing stickers and adding more printed elements. But the set contains two red elements with white prints on top, which, in addition to the white having a more pinkish tone, you can also notice some scratch flaws in it. Finally, the price. I welcome the return of sets of this type for less than €100, but on the other hand, the value per element is not the best. But you do have to take into account that new pieces were created and that there are many printed elements. Moreover, there were two probably licenses to support, McLaren and Senna, and maybe Honda. And about the latter, I hope this is the start of a new partnership. Oh, and one more thing. The return, although forced, of Shell to LEGO sets. So, what is your opinion about the set? Will you buy it? Thank you LEGO Land for sending the set for review. Opinions on it are my own. Don't miss out on more reviews in the coming weeks over LEGO themes that I'm sure you'll love, starting with this one. Don't also forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoyed the review, you can always like, comment and share. See you soon, and play well.